Hey Beatle people, how's everybody doing? Well, this is the first in what's going to probably be a really long series of videos. I'm thinking of making an entirely different playlist out of these, of my Beatles solo album challenge, I think is what I'm calling it. And so I actually, let me grab this, have my list that I've made of every single Beatles solo album in order in which they were released. Here, just a lot of paper, okay? So I know we were discussing in my last video where exactly I should start, and everyone kind of came to the same consensus that we're not going to do the weird electronic stuff, which would have been really appropriate yesterday. Today's May 10th, if I'm sure you'll look at the published date. But yesterday, May 9th, would have actually been the 50th anniversary of both George Harrison's Electronic Sound and John and Yoko's Life Without the Lions. Weird, right? So it's weird that I kind of came up with this to do, and those, you know, happen to have a big anniversary, but I'm not going to be reviewing them. I am starting a little bit farther down the way with Ringo Starr's Sentimental Journey. In my mind, I really do think that that's really the first Beatles solo piece of work, not just kind of random nonsense. So a little bit of background on the actual album, and I apologize if I keep looking over here because I have all my notes on my laptop, so I'm really going to try and do my best to, focus on you, but I've written 4 pages of notes. So a little background about the album. It was released March 27th, 1970. So right before it was even publicly announced that the Beatles had split. It was produced entirely by George Martin, which with the, array of musical awesomeness, of course it would be. In the UK, the album reached number 7, and in America, it only got up to number 22 on the charts, which, honestly, when I saw that, I couldn't believe it. Because you think about Ringo and the Beatles, and you go, what would possess a rock and roller to come out with an album of standards as his first ever release as a solo artist? And when I was kind of digging into the story, then it kind of becomes sweet. Ringo actually went to his family and had this idea that he wanted to do songs that, they used to sing together. And so he even asked his parents and other family members what songs should be on this album. And so when you think about that and you think of the title Sentimental Journey, it all kind of, ties in together, and it's actually kind of sweet. So let's just get right into it. We're just going to start with track by track, tell you what I think, and that'll be that. So the album opens with Sentimental Journey, the title track. I think it's honestly a bummer way to start the record. But like I was saying, I really understand why it would be, because of the tie-in with Ringo and his family, and he is literally taking you on a sentimental journey of songs that actually mean something to him. While doing research, I stumbled upon the music video for Sentimental Journey. If you have not watched it, do it. It is amazing, 70s cheesy amazingness. I think what really stole the show is Ringo's oversized pink bow tie. It's kind of just an okay rendition. Ringo doesn't really have the best voice in the entire world, but that's one of those things that we as Beatles fans love about him. And none of the Beatles were really essentially perfect, and that's what made them great and that's what made them human. But if you want to hear a really good version of Sentimental Journey, I actually recommend Emmy Rossum's version. If you don't know Emmy Rossum, she's a singer and an actress. If you watch the show Shameless on Showtime, she actually has an album called Sentimental Journey where she also does old standards, and it's fantastic. The next track we have is Night and Day, which when I was listening to this in the car and those opening horns pop out, It literally scared the shit out of me, but in the best way possible. It just blares right into it, and I absolutely love it. Now, before you guys go, what the hell does Caitlin know about, old standards and things like that? Believe it or not, it's stuff that I really grew up on. My father's parents especially got me into stuff like that. I was in jazz band as a child, and I genuinely love older music like this. I'm not just a rock and roll kind of girl. I love the old classics. I love jazz. I love crooners. I love all of that stuff. So before you guys, start saying, what the hell do you know about, that kind of music, I do have some insight. The story goes that apparently Ringo Starr asked Count Basie to do the arrangement. Oh, I forgot to preface this. Every single song on this album is arranged by a different artist, which is really, really cool. So Ringo asked Count Basie to do this arrangement, and apparently he did, but Chico O'Farrell, who I don't even know, for some reason gets the credit for the arrangement on the album, something I don't understand. But it also makes sense that if Count Basie really did this, it's why this song fucking rocks. I honestly think that this song should have opened the album. It grabs your attention, and it's just really amazing. It makes you, makes you just really want to jump in the best way possible. The next track is a song called Whispering Grass. It's arranged by a gentleman by the name of Ron Goodwin, who, I'm sorry, I don't know. I love the way that the strings come off in this particular song, and it's another case where Ringo really isn't the best vocalist for these songs, but the musicians are really, really amazing because they make him sound like a really good crooner, like just badass crooning. The next track is Bye Bye Blackbird, and it starts very weird with kind of just this solo banjo thing going on, and when I first turned it on, I really didn't know what to expect, but once the song really gets going, it's really, really enjoyable. And I was also so surprised that Morris Gibb is actually the one who arranged this particular song. Because when you think of the Bee Gees, you always think that Barry Gibb is kind of like the mastermind behind everything musically. So it was really cool to know that another Gibb brother has some really good, awesome musical talent. So I really enjoyed this version of Bye Bye Blackbird. Like I said, it starts off a little weird, but in the middle it really, really turns around. Next track is I'm a Fool to Care, and another surprise arrangement, Klaus Voormann. The skill set that I didn't know that this dude had. First off, he's an artist. Then you find out that, he's a bass player. And then musical arranger. No clue. I loved the brass section in this song. Very jazzy, very cool. And even if I do say, it's kind of sexy. I really enjoyed this tune a lot and very surprised that this was done by Mr. Klaus Voormann. So the last song on side A of Sentimental Journey is Stardust. Now this is the only time you see another Beatle on this record. This is actually arranged by Sir Paul. And so you know that Paul doesn't really know how to necessarily write music. And so it kind of makes you wonder how he can really do a musical score. But when you have this, produced by George Martin, he's the best teacher that anyone could ever have as a musical arranger. I mean, it was proven time and time again with the Beatles albums, and once again on here. This particular song is one that really just makes you want to grab somebody and have a dance. It doesn't matter where you are, whether you're in the kitchen or you're in a big ballroom. It's just one of those songs where you just want to grab someone and have a twirl. I absolutely love this song. So now we flip the record over to side B, and we have Blue Turning Gray Over You. This song is arranged by Oliver Nelson. Now this song starts with a bang, and it's a beautiful way to open side 2. Now I wish that side A had the same effect as side B, but you'll hear what I have to say in a minute. Throughout this song, I really just found myself bobbing and grooving, and it makes you just want to get all dressed up, find a time machine somewhere, take it to 88 miles an hour, head to Vegas, and just hear an awesome live big band. This is probably one of my favorite tracks on the whole album. Just so beautifully done. The musicians that they got on this record, I don't know who they are, they're not credited, and they should be, because they're amazing. We continue with Love is a Many Splendid Thing. This is actually arranged by Quincy Jones. Now, when you think, oh my god, Quincy Jones, oh my god, Ringo Starr, you think this is going to be the most badass thing you've ever heard. Why'd they have to choose this song? And I don't think that this has anything to do with Ringo or Quincy, but the song itself just sucks. I've never liked it. I've never enjoyed it. Even in its little cameo at the beginning of the movie Grease, I do not like this song. And it doesn't help that the backing vocals are just high and squeaky, and I hate it, and it's just something that I can't listen to all the way, and it was really tough for me to do it for this review. I listened to it twice all the way through, but if this were any other time, I would just hit the skip button right away. I just hate Love is a Many Splendid Thing. Hate it, never liked it, and not even with Quincy Jones and Ringo Starr. So, pass. The next track is called Dream, and this one is actually arranged by producer George Martin. I think Ringo's vocal register just isn't right for the song at all. I wish it was prettier because George Martin does a beautiful job, especially with the staccato of the horns. And there you go, there's my band geek coming out. If you guys know, if you've been in band class, you know the staccato of those trumpets is really, really good. Well, I shouldn't just say trumpets, it's the horn section as a whole. But Ringo's voice really doesn't shine here. Another track that I really just wanted to skip. Next track is You Always Hurt the One You Love. It's by an arranger on this version, John Dankworth. Once again, another arranger that I have never heard of. The only comment that I really had, because this song was really, really boring, too much vibra-slap in the beginning of that song. It really was just annoying, and I could have done without it. Now, for those of you that don't know what a vibra-slap is, you know the song Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne? The thing that makes that rattle sound, that ksh. Why would you put a vibra-slap in the middle of this song? I don't know. Could have done without it. But other than that, boring, skippable, didn't enjoy it. On to the next track, which is Have I Told You Lately That I Love You? This version is arranged by Elmer Bernstein. I wonder if we're related. Guys, this is the cheesiest, most 70s awful arrangement of a song I've ever heard. I was waiting for the Brady Bunch kids to come out with Donnie and Marie and Cher. It was just so cheesy. And the thing is that I didn't think that the cheesiness of the 70s happened so early in this decade. I thought it was always much later, mid-70s to the late 70s. Apparently, it was all the rage already at the beginning of the decade. I don't like this song. I couldn't get through it seriously, and definitely another one that I would skip. So side 2, we're not doing so good so far, and it only gets, well, worse from there because we only have 2 tracks left. The next track is Let the Rest of the World Go By an arranger, Les Reed, another arranger that I have never heard of. Oh, I apologize. This is the last song of the album. Duh, I don't know what I was thinking. I was going to say, it's a good thing that this is the last song on the album because this one totally just puts you to sleep. It sounds like just a badly sung lullaby. Like, it sounds like all of your relatives got wasted at a party, came into your bedroom and tried to sing you to sleep. It also just reminds me of a really bad, like, Disney theme park soundtrack. Those backing vocals were just cringeworthy, and I did not enjoy it. So other than Blue Turning Gray Over You, side 2 of this album blows. Side 1, amazing. I enjoyed it. I was bobbing my head around. I was getting really into it. I was getting my, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin on. But the rest of it just really fell flat for me. Now, I was also looking at reviews of this album as I was doing my research, and there was one that kind of just is where I'm at, and I'm going to read it for you. John Gabri of High Fidelity said, Considered that the impressive cast of musical arrangers were merely compensating for the fact that Ringo can't sing, and dismissed most of the material as some of the tiredest junk ever written. A lot of other critics I noticed gave it 2 out of 3 stars, and I would have to agree, seeing that only half of this album is really only enjoyable. Side 1 kicks ass, side 2 not so much, with the exception, like I said, of Blue Turning Gray Over You. Well, guys, here you go. My very first Beatles solo album review. I hope you've enjoyed it. I want to know what you think. Is this an album that you bought back in the day? Were you excited when this album came out? Is it something that you discovered later and have discarded over the years? Let me know. I can't wait to do another one of these. The next album we're going to do, of course, is McCartney is next on the list, so keep an eye out for that. If this is your first time over here at my channel, subscribe, because we're going to be doing this probably, I feel like this is going to be like a year-long process to get through all of these albums. We are going to go through every single one, and watch, there'll probably be more albums that get released after this, because we know that Ringo's already working on another record. So who knows, more albums may come out as I'm doing this. Anyway, until next time when we review McCartney, as always, peace and love. See ya.